And we're talking now about Oracle, which is a stock we have never talked about here on Hot Stocks. And it is a provider of enterprise software, so databases. It's one of the world's leading players in that environment. Larry Ellison is the man you would have noticed. He's the founder and not in fact the CEO anymore, but the executive chairman and definitely the controlling shareholder. Computer hardware products, it bought Sun Microsystems at some point. It's also now expanding into cloud computing, and it's typically been an acquirer of lots of businesses. Market capitalization is sizable, $168.45 billion. Price to earnings ratio of 19.52, dividend yield of 1.49%. So we can look at the graph in a minute. I think, well, why not? Let's look at the graph now. It actually looks pretty good over 5 years, in fact, even over 10 years. So it's interesting. Good company, great products, very strong player in that database and customer relationship management area.
Yes, and what they've done well is to consolidate the space. They've bought a number of enterprise applications and consolidated into their broader offering. I guess they have a very strong relationship with the CIO, the Chief Information Officer of the various large corporations, Fortune 500 companies.
So it could be anything from banks, telecommunication companies, oil companies that run Oracle as their core business database.
And through that relationship to add things like human resource software management, some enterprise applications as well. And as you said, moving into the cloud space, which I think is really the future of all these software businesses.
Yeah. So, I mean, businesses use them either off-the-shelf versions if they're smaller, or they would have teams of external solution providers that customize business applications for the business using the Oracle database. I know this is totally off the record, but my business, Vestact, we actually have an Oracle installation which runs our client records. We do a data import from the JSE every day, and that's what clients look at on the web when they're looking at their accounts on our system.
Yeah, so it is core to a number of businesses, as you say, both large and slightly smaller businesses. So it's very broad-based, global company, has been very successful. It's interesting, the share price graph, over the last 2.5 years, it's gone sideways, and I think that we're seeing that with a lot of big stocks.
Well, I want to ask you about, speaking of big stocks, so there are 3 old tech companies, Cisco, Microsoft, and Oracle. So in other words, they were the leaders in the late 90s, and they're still around. And on the one hand, you get the new tech stocks like Google and Facebook and Amazon, who have very high price to earnings ratios. This one is only on a 20 PE. But these companies have actually done pretty well. I mean, should one buy them now on the basis that they'll kind of get a better and higher rating, or is this as good as it gets?
Well, so the key aspect is cloud is becoming a significant factor, and that's really where you're providing a hosted solution of your previous software solution. So it's called software as a service. You strictly should be able to get higher margins because you can manage it centrally. Everyone accesses it remotely. There's not as much groundwork.
And have your own people maintaining your server infrastructure.
And that's where the growth is coming from. So it's a question of whether they will be a major player in the cloud space. So we're going to talk about Salesforce, for example. And that we can compare the two. And I think that's really where the investment case lies. So you have to, it's quite dynamic, the IT services market. You have to do your homework and say, will they be a player? They are a major player. I think they are well positioned. They are transitioning into the cloud space, and they will make a success of it.
So you're hot on this one?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I am too. Interesting company indeed.